We are with Polk County Parks and Natural Resources Environmental Lands Program. Polk County is home to so many lakes and rivers with amazing wildlife. Join us as we spend the day with two freshwater fisheries biologists, Adrian and Taylor, and learn about fisheries, monitoring, and conservation.
Hello, future conservationists. My name is Adrian Stanfield and I work for the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, more commonly known as FWC. My colleagues and I are tasked with the great opportunity to maintain the balance and health of fish populations throughout the southwest region of Florida. Although we come from different backgrounds and different schooling, we're all here for the same mission, and that is to conserve fish and wildlife resources for their well-being so that you can enjoy them for years to come.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor Duzneski and I am also a fisheries biologist for FWC's Division of Freshwater Fisheries Management. In addition to being a full-time biologist, I am also a master's student at the University of Florida. Not only do we manage fish populations in the southwest region, our jobs also entail habitat monitoring and water quality assessments. Other aspects of our jobs include outreach and education, research, and much more. Today we're going to walk you through a typical day on the water for our team of biologists.
The success of our work on Florida's freshwater resources depends on the support of the public. So one of the simplest ways for the public to support us is by getting out and experiencing the resources and purchasing fishing license. Did you know that a portion of money spent on things such as tackle and equipment, boats, boat fuel, and fishing license actually funds fish monitoring, research, and all the conservation efforts that we as biologists do on a daily basis? So this is why recreational fishing in Florida is so important. So by you purchasing the fishing license, not only is it fun for you to go out and enjoy the resources, but you directly contribute to FWC's mission of conservation.
Today we will be electrofishing at Tenoroc's fish management area, where we will discuss data collection, fish species, and habitat to highlight the importance of our work for both species and resource conservation. What is electrofishing? Electrofishing is one of the most commonly used methods to safely assess a fish population in a freshwater system. There are four main parts to our electrofishing vessel. They include the foot pedal, the generator, the pulsator, and the electrodes. The generator powers the entire electrofishing system. The pulsator determines the amount of current that is put into the water. When the biologist steps on the foot pedal, electricity runs through the system and out of the electrodes into the water, where it can effectively and safely stun the fish.
Now that you know a little more about our electrofishing boat, let's see it in action. This type of gear is only effective to a certain depth and area around the boat. Therefore, the driver of the boat must weave in and out of different habitats at a slow speed to stun fish effectively and safely. As we move along the shoreline, we encounter different species using multiple habitats. The species we encounter are temporarily stunned and float to the surface. The biologist then collects all fish with a net and safely places them into the live well to allow them to recover. As you can see, this type of gear collects multiple species, which is very important for us biologists to better understand fish populations. By using this type of gear, fisheries biologists collect what we call long-term data. Long-term data tracks change over time. Tracking change allows us to make the best management decisions for the health of our fish populations. Within our long-term data, we look for possible changes in diversity and abundance of fish species. Diversity is the number of different species of fish we collect and looks at the ideal balance in a water body. Abundance is the total count of each species collected. The greater the count, the healthier the water body. So if you see us out electrofishing on one of your favorite fishing holes, we are checking these fish to make sure their populations are balanced and healthy for their benefit and your enjoyment.
So before we discuss what we have in our live well, we're going to do a brief overview of fish biology. This is the mouth of the fish, and it is used for eating vertebrates like fish or invertebrates like worms. The eye of the fish is used to see the world around it, just like we would use ours. Gills are the very sensitive structures located under here. They help a fish extract oxygen from the water, which helps them breathe. The structure that covers this gill is called the operculum. It actually protects the gills from becoming damaged and it helps the fish survive. The dorsal fin helps with stability. These pelvic fins also help for stability. The anal fin is used to keep a fish upright when swimming, to prevent it from rolling side to side. The pectoral fins are used for direction. When a fish is in the water, it helps it move left to right or up and down. The caudal fin is used for propulsion, so this is the main source of power for a fish when moving through the water.
So our first species that we have here is a bowfin. A lot of people call them mudfish, and they are commonly mistaken by the snakehead, which is one of our exotic species. And you can see here it's got its oscillated spot here on its tail that a lot of people mistake snakeheads for. But this is native. These are commonly occur in Florida's waters. So once these fish are stunned, when we collect them, we put them on our live well to revive. As you can see, they're alive and well right now. And then we can collect our data off of them in the form of our length. We take their total length, and then we also weigh the individual before we put it back. As we can see here, this is a red ear sunfish. And it's very easy to see why he's called this, because of the little red spot, the red margin outside of its operculum. And these little guys eat shells, so they're also known as shell crackers, or they eat mussels and little tiny snails. So what we usually do is we'll take a length of them, then we'll take them, put them in the basket for a weight. And then release them. So next on our species list is the very common bluegill. And you can tell it's a bluegill by its little black spot right on the back of its dorsal fin. So here we have what is known as a Seminole killifish. These are very common forage species in our lakes and rivers. And you can see it has its flat head here. So it sits on the surface and it actually eats little insects across the top of the water. Okay, next up is our armored catfish. And these have multiple names. Some are known as sailfin cats. And we actually have two different species of these in Florida. One is the vermiculated sail cat, and then the other one is the Orinoco sail cat. This one here is the vermiculated. And these are very common in the pet trade, and they're actually exotic, so they're not native to Florida. And these are usually called plecos. If you ever owned an aquarium, you probably bought a pleco. Sometimes they get big and people release them. It's very important not to release non-native species into Florida's waters because they can thrive in these certain conditions. All right, next on the list is going to be tilapia. This is another exotic species. This is a non-native fish to Florida. They're very common now that they've become established. And these are, again, from the aquarium trade release. So it's very important not to release fish that are not native to Florida into our water bodies. Okay, and here we have a brook silverside. This is another common forage species throughout our freshwater systems. These can be found all throughout peninsular Florida. All right, and here we have the largemouth bass. As you can see, why it is aptly named because of its large mouth. These are our apex predators in our freshwater systems. And as you can tell, whatever can fit in their mouth, they're gonna eat. They have very big eyes, so they're gonna be sight predator mainly. But however, they do have their other senses, their lateral line that they can use to feed on prey. So again, this is a largemouth bass. Okay, so the largemouth bass is the #1 freshwater species anglers fish for in Florida. We use tags for bass over 8 pounds that have a reward associated with it. If an angler catches a fish with a tag, they can cut the tag as close to the fish as possible, call the number on the tag, answer a few questions, and receive their reward. Tagging projects like this allow us to gather information on these larger individuals in the population that we may not otherwise see. We can see how much a bass has grown since it was first tagged, how far it may have traveled since it was tagged, how the angler caught the fish, and if it was released. We as biologists can make better decisions off of this information that we receive from you, and the anglers can also enjoy catching these fish in the future.
The variety of fishes we caught today play unique roles within these water bodies. Every role is important to maintain the health and balance of an ecosystem. This is why biologists protect all of the fish in an ecosystem, from the small minnows to the large bass. Once all of our data is collected, we release our fish back into the water. These fish then return to their native habitat. Fish habitat comes in many forms. The most common fish habitats are trees, underwater grasses, underwater logs, and grasses that grow above the water's surface. Not all lakes provide these different habitat types, but that is where a fisheries biologist can step in.
If we see possible issues, we can begin projects to improve habitat. Providing ideal habitat helps support healthy fish populations. Projects can range from planting grass on a lake to restoring a large stretch of riverbank that has been damaged over time. So thanks for joining us for a day on the water with a fisheries biologist. Today you're able to see a lot of the common freshwater species that you'll encounter throughout the Southwest region.
This video highlights some of our favorite aspects of our jobs, but only scratches the surface of what a fisheries biologist can do. Fisheries is a vast world of opportunity, and we encourage you to explore it. We can't wait to see you out on the lakes.